right. Well, it looks like everyone's in, so I'm going to get started. Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Judge. I'm the founder and chief connector of Soundings Connect. We are a network of freelance meeting and event professionals. So my team works to connect our freelancers with organizations that are looking for specialized help. And as you can imagine, and I'm sure all of you are experiencing the same, because of COVID-19, our lives changed rather quickly. And, we're really all working together to figure out not only what do we do right now, but what does the landscape look like next? So it's been amazing for us and for me to have the MPI independent and small business owners community to really lean on during this time. And if you are not an active member of the community, get involved, join the chat room because it's a great network to have, and there is great thought leadership, and it is a way to continually expand your network and grow and get support as we all change our businesses. During today's session, we're going to talk about reskilling, and I say reskill and revive. There has been, with COVID-19, we've been given the opportunity of time, and we were moving so quickly for so long that a lot of times we didn't have the opportunity to learn and to grow and to focus on reskilling. And this has given us the opportunity to catch up on our own education, but also a big part of it as well is thinking about the future and what are we needing, what skills do we need in the future, and how do we get ourselves and our organizations to that point. So I think the number one thing that we've seen in the last couple months is really this pivot to virtual. And here we are now. It's really the only way we can communicate and the only way we can meet. And, when I think about the pivot to virtual, especially when this first happened, everybody made a quick turn because number one, it was the only way we could communicate with each other. And it was the only way that we really could generate revenue. So people that were doing live events quickly had to transition, if they could, to this space. Now, whether it was the right thing for all companies or not is questionable. Some of us, may have been better off riding it out and waiting for live events to come back. Some of us need a hybrid of both long term. And some companies have really changed and evolved. So as we talk today about reskilling, something really important to think about is how are you personally going to reskill and how are you going to evolve for this new market? And one important thing to think about, whether you're a freelancer or you're a small business owner, or even for people that work in large organizations within departments, business agility is really important. And business agility refers to the capacity and willingness of an organization to adopt, create, and leverage change to create enterprise value. And by enterprise value, when I say that, I mean the greater good of the collective, whether it be your organization, whether it be your customer's organization, or it could be a group of volunteers. But by enterprise, we're talking about the greater good. And business agility really is about people. And then the other piece to this is really staying lean and using a lean methodology. And again, whether it's your organization or you personally, we're going to have to evolve. We're going to have to make changes. They might be big changes or they might be small tweaks. But the lean methodology is something I've always used, and it's the process I really have used to create Soundings Connect. And we run things through this methodology all the time. So we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but staying lean is more about the process. Now, as I said, business agility is about the people, and the people within organizations in our in the meetings and events space. It may be changing, and most organizations, it's changing a lot. And it could be from short-term furloughs, and or it could be layoffs. And companies really need to learn how to stay agile during this time, and really how to leverage their people the best, and how to build infrastructures that set us up for the future. And you might, whether you are, if you're a small business, this is really important too. You may have only had a few employees, you may have less employees now. So the way you have to run your business is going to change. And it's also really important to think about, if you're an independent, is your clients' companies are changing, and they might not have the same infrastructure they had before when you worked with them. Or you might be walking into a situation as a freelancer where they're a new customer, but they just went through a lot of changes. So these are really important things to think about, whether you're entering and being an extension of someone's organization, or you're rebuilding your small business. And then the number one thing that's important is really to be able to sharpen your focus. And you need to create a clear vision for your teams and for your organization moving forward. It's been really hard, and I know, my team and I have gone through this a lot recently, where the last couple of months things change so fast. Every day is different, and how we are communicating with our team is different. How we're communicating with our customer is different. um, when we're trying to figure out like who we're going to be on the other side of this, there are things we're trying, and it can be reactionary. And even us, we have to reel it back in and really make sure that we are uber focused on the things that we think are important to drive our business forward. Perfect. Okay. Sorry, I was checking the chat, but it was Joy saying to drop in questions if you have them. So yes, I would say with your teams, stay really focused. And when you are going into other organizations, we've always done this for events. We always think about what are the goals and objectives of our events, and that should be talked about at the inception when you're starting to create an event and an experience. It's no different now. So where you can really be beneficial as a independent is when you're going to organizations. Of course, you want to be sensitive to the situation, but if you see people are losing focus, help organizations get back to what their vision is, because in the end, that's what's going to make their events more successful as well. Um, and aligning leadership, this piece of it is really important. When we're going through change and going through shifts, you really need to make sure that you have your leadership message straight. And this, you may only have a couple leaders within your organization, but if you have people that are working for you, or you're using freelancers to plug in, it's super important that you have your leadership aligned. And one of the most important things to align around is this culture of accountability, because you're moving really fast and you're likely short staffed. So think about how you're going to create a culture of accountability, and make sure that everybody is supporting it, really from the top down. In elevating talent, we're going through a lot of changes within organizations, and a lot of times talent is changing, and it has nothing to do with their level of performance. We see during times of layoffs, there often doesn't seem to be a rhyme or a reason to to the decisions that are getting made. But no matter who you have on your team, it's super important now, whether you work for the company or you're a freelancer, is really to figure out how you can elevate yourself and how are you continually educating yourself and giving yourself and or your teams the skills, resources, and education for them to continually grow. And the people in situations like this, when we have no choice but to stay lean and we need to be really agile, the people that are on your team are going to be what defines your success. And this is a quote from Jim Collins. If you've never read the book Good to Great, I suggest it. But he has this concept essentially that if you have the right people on the bus in the right seats, it doesn't matter where the bus is going. And in a time like this, like I said, even with my team, we're making a lot of turns and we're trying different things. But as long as you have the people there, they're going to help you drive and you're going to be able to accomplish whatever you want as a team. And when you are a freelancer, to think about this, because right now it's super important for freelancers to be able to be really flexible in the services that you can provide, and you want to be able to align with your clients from a cultural standpoint, but help them go the directions they need to as well. And you know, for us in the meetings and events space, freelancers have always been a part of our business, but I feel that we've been utilized in different ways than other industries. When I started Soundings Connect, well, prior to starting Soundings Connect, I ran a third party for the meetings and incentives division for a travel company, and I had been in the business on the third party side for about 13 years, and I watched the business evolve and change. And I would have clients come to me, when there was a problem or they were unhappy with some sort of service. I would have clients that would go first to an account, their operations manager, then they would go to an account manager, and then eventually it would come to me and I would talk to the client. And I remember one conversation with a client where she said, Tracy, the planner, she's just not getting it. She's not understanding what's happening. She's not getting our vibe or what we're trying to project. And he said to her, okay, how many marketing meetings do you have a week? And she said, 3 maybe. And I said, how many does the planner attend? And she kind of looked at me and I was like, oh, I get it. And I think what is really interesting about freelancers and small businesses is that we're not just about saving money. We're not just about getting resources when we need them. We help companies innovate their businesses. And right now, that is more valuable than anything else. And you think about it, there's 57 million freelancers who freelance, which makes up for 35% of the workforce and $1 trillion contribution to our economy. The industries, some of the most creative industries like tech and creative services, the most innovative out there, have been leveraging freelancers for a long time. But not just to save money, it's because they can help the organizations innovate. So it's one thing I want all of you to think about, small businesses and freelancers, that you have the ability and you're positioned really well to adapt, create, and leverage change. So right now you can bring those talents to your company, to your clients, and other organizations to help drive innovation. And I don't know who else feels this way, and I think it was really scary when this first happened. First, I was just in shock, and then you are reacting, and we've had a lot of cancellations, and you're in this triage mode. I think I then went through a state of mourning, knowing that our industry was going to change, and like any morning, I just wasn't ready to let go of it. But then, I got to this place where it was acceptance that we were going to have to change. And I felt okay with it. But I think that the thing with what I realized talking to a lot of other small business owners and independents is that like we live in this world of uncertainty all of the time. We by choice, by being independents, by running small businesses, we are always in a very vulnerable position, and we are used to operating in the unknown. For those of you who have started a business, like I have, it's really scary in the beginning, especially when you're used to coming, if you came from an organization where you're used to having an infrastructure around you, and you all of a sudden don't have the people to support you. You don't have this steady paycheck. You it's scary sometimes to take a weekend off because you don't want to get behind. And I think that um, that vulnerability that we felt and that we've gotten really comfortable with actually positions us well to survive in situations like this. But what it also positions us well for is supporting other people. And I think, everyone think about the value that you can bring to others, because it's not just in your education, it's not just in the projects you can do or the experience you have. A lot of the skills you have are coping mechanisms. I talked to a lot of my friends that worked in big organizations and had cushy jobs, and all of a sudden, they're going through all these changes and there's layoffs in their organization and it's really unstable, and that's a different feeling for them. Additionally, they're taking on roles they haven't done in years because they have their teams furloughed right now. So that it I think working in a larger organization, people want that structure, and when you take that away, it's scary. So know that you add a lot of value right now to others within our industry, and although it's really scary for us as well as small business owners, we do have the opportunity to pay it forward, and helping your customers through this time on a personal and professional level is really invaluable to them. Does anybody have any questions or want to chime in on anything before I keep going? Okay, so the next concept I want to talk about is lean methodology and how to really stay lean and agile. And what I was talking about before is agility is really about the people within your organization, and lean methodology is about the process that you use. So why this is important right now is, as you think about what your business looks like now and what it looks like moving forward, you don't want to place big bets. You don't want to make big assumptions and put all of your eggs in one basket and completely pivot your organization because you think it's what's needed. You should always be testing to make sure it's what's needed. And additionally, you should be doing it in cycles, because you might be onto something and you might have the right product, but you want to make it the best you can. And a lean methodology is going to help you do this. I say this to a lot of people right now, and we are in a time where there is as much admiration in trying and failing than there is in trying and succeeding. And in life, we don't get a lot of opportunities like we do right now, and everything is unknown. We're not sure when this business is going to come back. We're not sure what it's going to look like later. But what we really need right now as an industry is are people that are not afraid to try new things and test them and see how they work. And this is how new markets get made and big new services start to emerge. And I challenge all of you to do that, whether if you're a small business figuring out what you're going to look like on the other side of this, or a freelancer learning, deciding what areas you want to focus in. The virtual events, it's a big one. I mean, we have a large customer we're working with now, and um, I have a large network of freelancers, and we're working with this company, and we're looking at our freelancers, and they have all the skills they need to run events. Our freelancers have been running live events forever. The skills that are needed to do that, the hand holding, the client communications, the being able to deal with the stress and pressure of live events, all of that is applicable to virtual events. It's just the difference of learning the technology. So as a freelancer, use this opportunity to try new things, because a lot of the things and a lot of the positions we need right now, they didn't exist before, or they existed, but it was just a small amount of our industry that really had expertise in it. So put yourself out there as a freelancer as well, and use this time to really figure out what other things you're good at, and also what you like. So this lean methodology model, it is, if you haven't read the book, The Lean Startup, I suggest reading it. It's a great one to read right now during this time. Actually, Eric Rice is the author of The Lean Startup. And in a COVID project I've been working on, he ended up on one of my Google Hangout calls. And I don't get starstruck. I really won't notice celebrities around, but that one was really, really exciting for me. But the whole concept of this is based on the most viable product, and being able to bring a product to market to test that is most viable. And then you want to use your customers and people on your team to really test it. Or, we're doing it with webinars right now, trying to understand what is important for people. What kind of education do they want? Is it more about the community, or is it more about the education? And at Soundings Connect, we're running a webinar series looking at all of those things and changing as we need to go. And this is what all of you should be doing as well. Try new products, or try get a most viable product and put it out there, and use people to test it for you. Measure your results, learn, and decide, is that something that we can offer as a product moving forward, or a service? And if so, keep going through the cycle and making it better and better. And if not, pivot quick. The idea really is to fail fast and to fail cheap. So you're spending your time on the right changes, not the wrong changes. So this was, the front end of this presentation is really about people and process and infrastructure. So next I'm going to go through some things to think about when you are reskilling during this time, or when you're rethinking, or if you have the time to really rebuild your small business and make changes or focus on things you haven't focused on before. A lot of these products or types of products that I'm going to talk about are free. I have free trials, and many of them are inexpensive, even if you want to move forward with them. So if for marketing platforms, if you are not using a marketing automation tool, now would be a really good time to start playing with it. Our life is virtual right now, and a lot of marketing is done virtually. So it's, we have less ways to communicate with people. So marketing is becoming a big piece of that. Also, I think moving forward, because we're going to be doing so many virtual events, and even when live events come back, we'll be doing hybrid events as well. Marketing will be more important than ever for for events, and we're going to need more sophisticated marketing than we needed before, because we're selling a live event and we're selling a virtual event at the same time. So it's going to have to be more targeted. And I do think for small businesses and for freelancers, that offering marketing services is something that's going to be needed. So a focus on learning different marketing platforms or marketing automation platforms is I think is worth your time right now. Another thing that is super important, and we're seeing this, and a lot of companies have had to implement communication tools or better communication tools over this time for their teams to be virtual. So if, I'm sure if you have a small business and your team has been virtual, you found ways to communicate that work. So, Slack, I think, is one of the most well-known ones. It's also great for communication tools for actually running events. We're using it for some virtual events right now as well. So communication for the operation of those events. Microsoft Teams, another one, if you use the Microsoft platform, great way to communicate. If you are a freelancer, I can't stress enough the importance, if you haven't actually worked in one of these platforms before, I can't stress the importance of getting in there and playing with it and learning it. A lot of times, you can learn and understand the language of one of these tools in Slack or Teams. Just pick one of them, but understand what the capabilities of it are and why it's important, because it's key to being able to work virtually. And it also, as companies, as business starts to come back and companies are plugging in freelancers and small businesses more, it's more likely now that those organizations have implemented these communication tools within their organization, so they're going to expect you to use it as well. And another design tools, spend some time on this if you have it right now. We use Canva a lot. If we use a mixture of Canva and a graphic designer, and there's a lot that you can do for yourself, for your business, in Canva. And if you are having to cut back on your marketing expenses, now might be the time to use something like this. I think it is I think I pay $13 a month for an account on Canva. You're able to build in all of your brand assets, your colors, your fonts. There's lots of templates you can use in here. You can have folders and save things. It's a great way to save some money and to be able to continue to focus on your brand without outsourcing it. And additionally, if you are working with customers and you are helping them with marketing their events, it could be a great tool for you to learn. So you have another service you're able to offer them moving forward. And, like I just talked about marketing, something in that realm. The design piece of it would attach to the marketing piece of it as well as one service. Social media, depending on what your business is, if you're a freelancer or if you're a small business, you want to think about what social media do you need, and which ones do you think most align. Instagram might not be important for your business, but it might be. So think about, of all the social media tools, which ones are important to you and start focusing on them. There's lots of great tools out there to help you consolidate your social media efforts. Hootsuite is one of them. We use Planoly for Instagram. It's a great way to visualize what your Instagram feed is looking like. And you can auto post things, and it really helps with scheduling if you have multiple people working on a team, everybody's able to see what's going up and contribute to that as well. Um, and again, if you're a freelancer and you can say to a client, oh wait, I can run your social media, or let's make a Instagram account to help market this event as well, and you can use Planoly to communicate and show them what you're working on, and you can use Canva to create a lot of the assets that go in here. You're able to offer a service you might not have thought about offering before, or you didn't know you could offer before. Project management tools, this goes back to what I said about communication. Project management tools are the key to really us working virtually and communicating with teams that are remote and teams that are hybrid, that are made up of employees and freelancers or temporary employees. There's many of them out there. We use Trello with my team for the most part. I like it. I have a love-hate relationship with Trello. One of the best things about Trello is that it is super flexible. So when you have different people and different teams plugging in and different projects you're working on, you're able to create it new. You're able to create the processes pretty easily and use it the way you need to. The issue is also that Trello is very flexible. So a lot of times if you do need processes, it's not the easiest one. I don't think, to create consistent processes, but there's many of them out there. Asana is one, Super Clean, Basecamp, and everybody has their own preferences of what they like to use. This is something where you might want to get a free trial of all of them and play around with them and understand the fundamentals of how they work, because I think as freelancers and as small businesses too, if we're supporting companies, we need to plug into their instances of this and be able to quickly learn learn their processes. So it's important to have a really high aptitude for these types of technologies so you can jump in and be ready to go very quickly. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. So I'm going to start wrapping this up, and we're pretty early, but if you have questions, we can take them at the end or have open dialogue. But when we talk about when we're talking about reskilling, number one thing is be adaptable. We're in a time of change. Be able to be there for your customers, help with your customers' agility, and think about what skills you have that you can leverage, or strengths you have that you can leverage, even if it's not in the same arena. And I'll go back to the example of virtual events. The skills needed to run virtual events, the strengths needed, we already have. It's just learning how to readapt them in a different space. Accelerate the feedback loop. We talked about this with the lean startup methodology. Use this time to continually test and try new methods. And you continually do this for yourself as an individual and within your organizations. Don't jump completely in. I say, when I started Soundings Connect, and a lot of people still say this to me, well, Tracy, why aren't you a tech company, a tech forward company? The tech companies are so much more valuable. And I'm a tech enabled company. I haven't built my own technology. I use other technologies that are out there, and they run my business quite well. And one of the reasons that I did that was because it allowed me to really learn. And I used that lean methodology method to try what works. And I built an infrastructure on platforms that already existed, and I kept changing it as I went and evolving. And I still haven't had to build proprietary software, But why that is so important is that in times like these, it's what's really saving me, because I didn't have a lot of overhead, because I was paying for products as I needed them. I wasn't, making huge purchases in the beginning and spending a lot of money building my own technology, because I was using this feedback loop. So um, before you decide to make quick turns in what your services are, or invest in new pieces of your business, make sure that you are testing it and continually accelerating the feedback loop. And lastly, it's continue to learn. We uh, well, number one, education is the only thing people can't take it away from you. So the more you learn, the more you learn, the better. And this is you have the opportunity right now. Some of us the opportunity of time, and some of us just out of need. Because our business is changing, that we have to learn new skills, and we have to really use our strengths in different ways. And that is what makes you super valuable. That's why we're valuable as freelancers and small businesses. The CEO of Upwork talked about how freelancers really change and grow the economy, and we help drive it, and we help to innovate it. And it's because we can't rely on anybody else for our income. We need to provide our own opportunities to ourselves. And freelancers are over 50% more likely to reskill regularly than regular employees are, because we have to. So continue to learn, continue to grow, and your business will as well. All right, I think we have a question here. Okay, so for socials, there are different technologies where you can consolidate your social media platforms. Planoly is just for Instagram. It does repost on Facebook, but it's mainly made for Facebook. So it just depends what you want to do from a design standpoint. We just think Planoly is the best for layouts. We use the whole Zoho One platform for to run our business. So Zoho One has Zoho Social that can consolidate them. Hootsuite is another one, but you can look to find other technologies that work well for you as well. Um, just to go into Zoho a little bit, if when I first started my business, Jessica Levin from 7 Degrees Communication said, you need to try Zoho. And I had never heard of it. And I was used to, Salesforce, Marketo, all the bigger technologies out there. And she kept convincing me of Zoho and kept convincing me. And, finally I gave in. And really it was because of price, because it was so reasonable. And I'll tell you, if you are looking for a tool to run your back office, Zoho One offers pretty much any business platform you'll need. It has a CRM, it has a marketing automation tool, like I said, social tool. It has an accounting tool, forms, surveys, you name it, and it's really reasonable. So I would check that one out if you're looking for any of these tools. I mean, even if you just need marketing automation and a CRM, it is cheaper to buy this whole suite of products and use it than it is to get Salesforce or Marketo. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? All right, I'm going to end here. I just did want to say one thing. One of the projects I've been working on during this time is the Hospitality and Events Fight Back initiative. If you haven't taken a look at it yet, you'll be able to see it in the documents we send after this. But you can find it on the Soundings Connect website at the top, and it's an initiative we're doing, and we've partnered with other initiatives like Go Live Together and Live for Life. And we are focused on innovation and change within the events industry. We're launching a hackathon that will, the website for that to apply to be a hacker for it will start, will go live tomorrow. And we really encourage everyone in the industry to really have a voice at this time, because collectively we're going to be able to solve the problems of the future. You know, we look to leaders always, and when we're going through changes, but with all of this being so unprecedented, nobody really has the answers. So I invite you to join us and other industries as well to really solve for the future of our industry. Here's my information if you want to get in touch with me, and I believe we shared a link if you want the presentation, and we have some more information you can download as well. And thank you. If you, again, if you aren't part of the MPI independent and small business owner community, please join us. The more people that contribute, the more valuable the community is for everyone. So interact in our forums and our chat rooms. We love having new content. We love, if there's something you want to speak to or you want to present or you want to write about, or talk to us and we'll write about it for you if you'd like. But be part of it. It's been an amazing community for me to be part of as I've been growing my business, and I know it will be for all of you too. So thank you.